The pass from Havili was magic. The shift on for Crotty. Boom, far down you go, Quackett Smith. Me, oh my, I have enjoyed that. Yes, boy.
Sit back, relax, put your belt on, enjoy the
Draft Rugby, the game they play online in heaven.
Welcome to the Draft Rugby Podcast, Season 9, Episode 2. I'm here with Nelson.
Ahoy.
And more excitingly, I've got the Owen brothers, Squidge, Robbie, and Will. Thanks for joining us, fellas. How are we going?
No, good. How are we? How are we both doing? Absolutely delighted to be here. It's been too long since we talked for much too long about rugby union.
It has. It's been way too long.
Yeah, true to form, this will be a 6-hour podcast.
Yeah, that's the plan.
For that. But,
and we're talking about future rugby, not past rugby for once. This is crazy.
Yeah, true, very true. So we'll see how this goes. I mean, I feel like it was easy when neither of us knew what we were talking about in the 1980s World Cups, but this time we're relying very heavily on you to be the knowledge base, and we'll just pretend we know what we're talking about.
We're the looks.
Yeah.
Oh, undoubtedly.
For the podcast. So, guys, obviously speaking about the URC, for those that are following, and I assume most of our listeners, they would know that we're launching our draft-style fantasy game for the United Rugby Championships for the 25-26 season. It'll be a full beta, free-to-play, so we're going to be talking primarily all about that competition. We can talk about a little bit outside of that with fantasy sports and what you guys have got going on and everything as well, but that's really what we're here to talk about. So I guess let's go straight into it.
Yeah. I suppose for us, I mean, we're on the other side of the world. We know you guys love all rugby, but who's your team? Do you both support the same team, or?
And I don't think we've ever documented this publicly before.
Possibly not.
Have we? So you go.
So I'm an Ospreys fan. Have been since I was a ween. I was the first moment that I think I was the first one to kind of show an interest in rugby as a kid between the two of us. Mm-hmm. And our dad kind of went like, brilliant. And the Ospreys happened to be playing Saracens like a few weeks later. So he took me to see that as like, these are who we support, despite the fact that he never really picked a team when they kind of went to the regional model, when they kind of like went from local clubs to like just the 4 or 5 national teams. I never expected
that was why that is.
Yeah. And so I was just told as a kid, like, you support the Ospreys. And I was like, okay, I guess I do. Yeah. Despite the fact the family hadn't, like our dad hadn't picked the team, and
you definitely embraced club rugby. Sooner than I did. I embraced watching Wales. And like I knew that Ospreys was a team that I wanted to win, but I also remembered, like as a kid, hearing my dad shouting like "Go on Scarlets, go on!" And I just assumed that there were different names for Wales, and same with Cardiff. Like, and then I actually watched them all play, and I was kind of like, "Oh, okay, so there's club," because I'd never watched any sport before watching rugby. And I was like, "Oh, right, so these are club teams, so these are different from Wales. I guess I have to cheer for all of them." So I'm essentially a floating voter at this point. So I kind of I'm like a glory supporter, basically.
But this is the thing, like,
that was good.
I was always like Ospreys primarily, but I'd cheer for the other 3. And then we all became shit. And there's something about being at the bottom, right? When you're like, I want to be 4th off bottom, not 2nd bottom. I'm not cheering for them. So suddenly it becomes like, I will cheer for Edinburgh against Scarlets or against Cardiff or whatever. And that was never the case before the last couple of years. Like, really the downturn has just added to the infighting and brought out the worst parts of it.
It does mean as well, I often get accused of being like really anti-Scarlets. So because Ospreys and Scarlets are like the 2 closest rivals in Wales. So if ever I say something that like about how badly the Scarlets have played, something which is in a sense self-depreciating, because that's a team that I want to win, it's a team that I support. And people will then go like, oh, you're just a one-eyed Ospreys fan like the 2 of you are. And it's just, they're like, well, no, I actually kind of support the Scarlets. Like, people going like, oh, why do you hate us so much? It's like, I don't. I actually kind of support you guys. But I think a lot of people just assume, and it's a fair enough assumption, that 2 people from the same family,
same upbringing,
same upbringing, will support the same team.
Definitely not like you guys to cop hate for topics on social media for any opinions that you do or don't hold, though, right?
It's a true first. Look, I've never even heard of Antoine Dupont. I'm innocent.
He's no good.
Antoine Dupont.
Because I was just going to give Wales a rat, though. Scarlets, they're a finals team, right? So let's not talk them down too much.
Yeah, just about. They crept in, which again I was cheering against on the last day, but that's fine. Wales have managed to sneak a team into the last 8 2 years in a row, literally in 8th position, and that has been reported by the WU as like a true sign of growth and the fact we're going in the right direction.
I love in a 16 team comp. They've got 4 teams and they scrape one into the top 8.
Yeah, and it's like, so every year, this is another like side of it, right? Is Connacht fans who obviously, because we've got the shield system in the URC, so you play everyone once, home or away, and then you play the teams in your shield, so the teams from your nation. Other than the Scottish talent teams, within 2 of them, they play each other twice, home and away. And so Connacht fans are constantly furious about this because the Welsh teams get to play each other twice, where Connacht play each the Irish teams twice. And obviously, Munster, Leinster, that is a much more difficult fixture, playing them twice than going and playing the Dragons twice or going and playing
Deborah away.
Yeah. So like they're always fuming about this, understandably. But the other side of like, yes, the Welsh teams get to play the Welsh teams twice, but they also literally are one. So it kind of negates the advantage. Yeah.
To be fair, I think you guys would accept Connacht if they came in and said, "We'll be Welsh now." You wouldn't say no.
Yeah. I mean, no, they just get cut as well, because that's the whole other side of this. It's like the W potentially carrying 2 teams.
Used to, though, like the whole Australia playing New Zealand thing, we had the exact same kind of conversations year in, year out about the fact that the Kiwis are playing like test match footy against each other, and then the Kiwis are like throwing the ball around on a Saturday afternoon with their C team against the Aussies while we got the easy matchup. So I think the main rebuttal there is it hasn't stopped the Crusaders winning every single year, or Leinster either. So I mean, it's a hard argument to push when the Welsh and Aussie teams aren't actually winning competition.
I mean, you've got similar problems with like trying to figure out every 2 years whether the Force and the Rebels are a team this season.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and we've just come up with something genius. I don't know if you've always seen it. It starts this weekend. It's called Super Rugby Oz. It's just the Aussie team, so we're bound to get a winner. So
that'll work. That'll do it.
It might catch on for us. You guys should try that.
Guys, I while we've got you here, I haven't actually discussed this with Nelson, but Nelson, we're in the URC now. We're going to be watching every single game, which our wives will be big fans of. Who's your team this year?
I can give
you a second if you like.
I have very okay.
Yeah, well, clearly as a Southern Hemisphere player, we have to go for a South African side. So I'm going for the Lions, despite the fact that they were the worst South African team. I just love the Lions. And the back 5 or so years in Super Rugby, they were just so good to watch. And I'm still completely polarised by those few years. And the fact that they've done nothing ever since has nothing to do with my own opinion of how good they are. So they're a sure thing, I think.
Talking about Southern Hemisphere, you could pick any of the Scottish or Irish teams. They're full of Southern Hemisphere players. I just don't feel like I could support a South African side, to be fair. It's
the Dragons are really good, Nelson. The
Dragons. You'll love it.
I'm not used to supporting.
Harry Wilson used to play for them.
Yeah. I feel like it has to be Irish or Scottish because I feel like there's more of a connection for us to that little bit of a history in our family and stuff. I don't want it to be Leinster because that feels too easy. So these
guys hate Wales, don't they?
Yeah, we have no Welsh family, so and we're too used to losing. You know what? No, I can't do it. I can't support a Welsh team. I will go. I think I'll go Glasgow.
Okay, nice. I like it. No, cool. The Glasgow are great fun. Glasgow are good.
Bit of a brawler, Don't want to get in, brother. A bit soft, brawling style. So that Scottish. That's more me.
Absolutely, the Warriors.
Yeah, you get Sione Tuipulotu in there,
and you're always turning up their home ground, which is of course.
It's in Glasgow.
Yes, it is.
It's. I think it's. I don't know how to pronounce it. Scottstoun.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, you remember that. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they wear black a lot and stuff. So.
I can see you choking back the tears just thinking about. Remember the Friday night you stood on the terrace.
So many memories.
The team song's a cracker when you belt it out.
I need the backing music, so I can't do it without
the bagpipes.
Yeah.
Look, I know that you've got us on to talk about the URC players, but Nelson, whilst you're here, mate, I just think I'd be really interested to know about some of your favourite players in that Glasgow Warriors squad.
It's got to be Tuipulotu. I mean,
yeah, fair enough.
He is great, and look, There's a couple other Tuapolotu brothers, and unfortunately they they don't play. They go to
Dempsey.
The other brothers, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, and like the other Scottish guys that everybody knows, like
Jack Dempsey.
Yeah, Dempsey. I like him. He's very Scottish. Guy from New South Wales. I'm actually looking at fantasy players, and there's no one good. Sammy Talakai. I played with Sam Talakai, so
nice.
I like him. Kyle Stain, he's a bit of a weapon.
And Otavio Tuapolotu.
Yeah, there you go. There is two Tuapolotus.
Yeah, so Sienna's youngest brother is there.
Ferguson, Scott Cummings. There's so many good names. Josh McCabe.
Are you just naming anyone that's not Scottish?
No. What do you mean? A bunch of those are Scottish.
Sure. Right. Anyway, let's move on from the Glasgow Warriors because they are actually contenders, I'm sure, again this year.
They are a good side.
Guys, what are you most excited for URC 25-26? I guess after the last couple of years have been seemingly from the south, it looks like the competition is just growing and growing and growing in popularity.
Yeah. Oh, it's exploded over the last few years. Like, this is a competition that historically has never really worked. It was always like that. It was always the kind of like the poor relation next to the Premiership in the top 14. You know, it's kind of like the third league, and you're like, fine, you know, that and Super Rugby, and it was just sort of there. And then I think the last few years since the addition of South African teams, and I think the first season was a bit all over the place, and kind of no one quite worked it out. And you had all the South African teams like were battering everyone when they came over to South Africa, and then vice versa was happening as well. The South African teams didn't travel particularly well. But I think from now the second season and into last year, it's really worked. Like, it's really kicked on. Like, the physicality and the kind of intensity of it's gone up enormously. It's just improved massively. There was something that I forget what I think it's Sam Warburton said. Like, it's such a good league for preparing you to play international rugby because you play 5 different nations. You're playing different styles. You're playing in different climates, and
you're going on war as well.
Yeah,
in the midst of it.
So you kind of it's great for that angle. So it's just like. The improvement in the league of the last 3 seasons has been kind of since COVID and the Rainbow Cup, which we all love and remember very fondly. And I'm sure you've all got, you're both choking back tears, memories of the Rainbow Cup as well. What a month that was.
It's true, isn't it? That, like, since the URC's inception, there's just been this whole thing of like, if we had 2 Italian teams, we'll finally be a good league.
Yeah.
If we now add loads of South African teams, we'll finally be a good league. And if we added the conference system, we'll finally be
If we change the name to the Rabo Direct Pro 12,
we give them more
shit name in world sport.
They'll finally be a good team. Like, it's always been
and
that
it sort
vibe,
of has
hasn't it?
finally clicked. Yeah, like, it's sort of finally working, which is actually quite exciting. And there has been something from kind of like the Welsh angle, right? Of like, because those teams have been chronically underfunded and whatever else, we won't get into it now. But like, there has been something of like almost every weekend being a bit of an Everest. You've got these like, you're playing the big, you always think with the Super Rugby teams you kind of grew up watching from a separate, complete separate league. Playing those teams is exciting. And then playing the big Irish sides and can you get Scalpo with them is exciting. And there is kind of like, there is an eventizing of most games that aren't against the Dragons.
It feels like there's so much of a reflection to Super Rugby and being an Aussie fan and chopping and changing, and I think Super Rugby's finding its feet in a very different way recently. But like I know the URC for a Southern Hemisphere fan, it's really opened up. I don't know, the players and the teams, and we're starting to understand a lot more just off the back of their inclusion. Which, I mean, we'll welcome the South African teams back. If they want to come back.
I was going to say, I feel like you guys are 10 or 15 years behind Super Rugby because it was all clicking for us when we had South Africa, and then inevitably you start blaming them for everything until you punt them out of the competition and it goes downhill again. So,
you can have already started. You can have the cheaters; they're free.
Yeah,
they've not got much to do.
Yeah, there was the Kings as well.
Yeah, the Kings.
The cheaters just hang in Amsterdam now. They're just like they now play their home games in Amsterdam for some reason.
That sounds great. That sounds good.
Yeah. They play like... Yeah. No, it's great fun. Yeah. Always on tour.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
I think something for us, obviously, Leinster, always up there. Glasgow, always up there. Sharks, Bulls, Stormers, Munster. There's a lot of teams that I think for us stand out as big names. But the question from me is, who do we think the big movers are? Is there someone that's going to come outside that sort of top 5, 6 that are going to challenge for it this year? And on the flip side, Are one of those teams going to potentially drop down significantly? Is there anything that you boys can see happening like that, or is it going to be the same lot at the top?
Question. I think there's always a weird bit of. It's hard to quantify the momentum of Benetton, isn't it?
Yeah, Benetton's the big one, isn't it?
They're a team like the proper dark horse who like they can sometimes just have like a brilliant season. It's really hard to predict, and like they've got a pretty good squad behind them, and they play like quite a fun brand of rugby, and like a lot of the kind of best Italian players, when you go into Six Nations, a lot of the kind of talking point is, oh, well, they've been really good for Benetton recently, and they've been on decent form.
Yeah.
You look at the likes of like Lorenzo Di Canoni, I think is one player that I really like for them, who's like a proper like leader in their team. Lewis Lyon, of course, plays there now. Menoncello as well.
Yeah, when they had the Menoncello Brex axis, and a lot of those kind of like a combination of the Italian national team were playing at club level together as well. But then they've also like secretly got a lot of money. And no one publicizes this, but like they are loaded, and it's not quite to the level of like
no one really knows why.
You go back like 80 years or whatever, like not 80 years. You go back to like the 70s, right, when they were just like a clothing company or a rugby team on the side. Their clothing company started their like company team got pretty good, just being employees as their rule. And then they started to be like, you know what if we took this up to the next level? And they started approaching like Michael Liner and going like, do you want a job? Do you want to come over here?
Is it John Kerwin played for them?
John Kerwin, Michael Liner, like they're listed former players, like,
wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And so it just like basically all took off because they were just like they hired like Michael Liner to come over. He arrived, was like, "So I'm in the office. What do you want me to do?" And they just go like, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Training's on Thursday. Just turn up for that." And they're not quite at that level. But there's a lot of like Andy Urin, the scrum half, and that is his real name. He wouldn't have changed it.
You're in trouble.
You're in.
He said that he moved from Bristol, who are like famously like one of the top 3 like biggest budgets in the Premiership,
and he was like second choice for them.
Yeah,
a fairly middling Prem scrum.
He moved for what he said was a life-changing amount of money to Benetton,
really?
And like. Yeah, so Michael Liner, Lewis Liner. There's a bunch of like players from Premiership and like Malachi Fekitoa, the former All Blacks there.
It's like Josh Fluke this season.
Josh Fluke, yeah.
That's a really strong
side. They got a bunch of boys.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So, adding our very limited amount of Super Rugby knowledge, we can just push into this competition. I don't know if you guys saw Brendon have like an actual partnership with Queensland Rugby now with the Reds. So they've sent over Josh Fluke, John Bryant, who is Josh Fluke, most people know as an outside centre. John Bryant plays 6 and 8 and just had a breakout season last year. Sorry, 7 and 6, and had a great season last year. Richie Asiata is a hooker that had an absolute killer season in Super Rugby last season, and Louis Wertman, who is like a reserve 9 who is able to dart off the back of the scrum and go well as well. But they're all on a short-term deal, which is really cool to get to see so many players come up to Benetton to have an effect or to have that experience. But the only downside for me in that is I think they're only there for like literally September and part of October, because then the Reds go on tour again. So I was expecting particularly probably Asiata and Fluke to really have a good opportunity to make an impact there. And with Creevy retiring as well, like there's a spot there clearly as well. But yeah, I think they're only going to be around for like 4 weeks, sadly.
Right. Oh, that's a shame. Okay. Yeah. That's an interesting thing that I think we're seeing pop up more and more. Like the Ospreys have got one with the Cheetahs and who's it? Highland. And then like
that never really
seen them kind of. But we're seeing this kind of grow a bit. I think. Who's it?
The reason from a Southern Hemisphere point of view that it keeps happening is because our season is so short that they're basically saying our club team doesn't get enough time together, particularly without international players to help develop that cohesion and the younger guys coming through. So more and more of these teams are doing it to try and give their teams an opportunity to go overseas and have an experience where their players can keep playing together and they can get some sort of life-changing experience or life-learning experience where they're not just taking the money and going overseas for the cash. So I think it's a strategy to build cohesion in the side, get some more games into their players, and also to hopefully keep players longer term.
There's plenty of links as well being created in Super Rugby to the Japanese sides, and there's always the rumours of could they be brought in to Super Rugby and all this sort of stuff around it, and it's just strengthening those ties, which is always a good
thing. It's smart.
Yeah.
So Benetton, we reckon they're going to come
Okay,
up.
sorry, that was the question, wasn't it?
Is anyone coming down out of the top? Is there anyone that maybe there's been some big changes?
You can't choose Scarlets. Who misses finals either.
Yeah, the Dragons. The only way is down. They finished
up in minus
again.
one games this season. So,
So the Dragons won't win their one game this season. They normally pick up. So it's interesting, isn't it? That Leinster did actually win it this year, which they've had like a bit of a habit of getting to finals and bottling them, which has been enormous fun for everyone that isn't from the Greater Dublin area. So that's been like
can't
a great
see them
feat.
going down though.
But I think we'll probably see them there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
But maybe they don't like hold on this year.
Yeah, and I've got a good feeling about Munster.
Yeah,
well. Like they've built a good bit of momentum, so that's a tough one.
The Sharks are the other one, right?
Yeah.
Like season before last, they were dog shit. They were just terrible, and they finished like bottom end of the table, nowhere close to the playoffs. And wait, can I swear? Oh, yeah, I assume I can swear. Yeah, I can say dog shit. Fine. We're talking about the Dragons. I'm going to have to.
But we don't make any money in this stuff anyway, so we can't lose funding from it. It's all good.
Fair enough. I can see the Sharks having another drop off year, and kind of, especially with South Africa struggling a bit at the minute, or South Africa being outclassed thoroughly by two quality outfits. I can see maybe that having a knock-on effect with the Sharks as well. So I look at maybe them having a bit of a drop-off.
Yeah,
but
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see the Sharks just gunning for mid-table this year.
Yeah.
The Sharks are a funny one. Like, a couple of these South African teams, we obviously recognise some of the names that have been there for a long time, but there's a lot of changes in and out. But some of those South African sides could be brilliant, and I think we expected them to turn up and dominate and consistently be at the top. And it looks like one year they're great and one year they're terrible, and there's not as much consistency across the board in some of these South African sides.
Yeah, it's like the Bulls, right, who have made 3 of the 4 finals and they've lost all 3 of them. And I don't know, like it's a growing thing. Jake White's now left, who was their head coach. Johan Ackerman's come in, not Rowan Ackerman. He's still playing. Johan Ackerman's come in as their head coach, and I think he'll probably make a bit of an impact. There may be some teething problems at the start, as there was kind of his time at Gloucester, but he did a great job with the Lions in past, and incredibly highly thought of as a coach.
Yeah.
So be interested to see how they go. The Bulls, like they're the other team that I think it might be they kick on and win it this year because they've got a squad that is more than good enough to do so.
Cameron Hannigan's been like one of the best players in the URC for years. We've got Curtly Arlenson playing for them as well.
Like, and if anyone's been watching the Springboks and going, why hasn't Billy the Roo retired? Like, he has been very good for the Bulls.
Yeah.
So, like, there has been something there.
Year as well.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Thing. So it'll be interesting to see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
Before
he does it again.
Yeah. This is the second time.
The Lions. Yeah, we were just saying, I think he's the Lions coach, wasn't he? Going really, really well in Super Rugby. So 2013 to 2017. He's a great coach. Like genuinely, I think if you come off someone like the form that the Bulls have had, which is obviously going to be a very set piece dominated, forward orientated team, scrum kick that they've been playing for the last couple of years, I assume, unless their whole coaching structure. Johan Ackerman is like throwing the ball around, like chance your arm, like very successful for the Lions, and is in that exact period I was saying that I really enjoyed with the Lions. So I might just change my team.
It's the most I've ever enjoyed.
Really well. I think he's a great coach.
Yeah.
They have though signed a promising youngster by the name of Andre Pollard, which
I don't think I heard of.
Yeah, no, he seems all right. Like I think first cap at the weekend.
He was raised
fell
in
over
doing it. Yeah, Leicester, coming through the Montpellier Academy. Yeah,
but they've signed him, which is kind of like if they're going to play more expansive rugby and they've signed Andre Pollard, they might be in for a bit of a shock. Maybe we'll see how that one goes.
Arguments between him and Billy LaRue impending.
Yeah, I'm going to mark them in for the trophy right now. I can't believe he's only 31 years old. I thought he was like 41, but.
You thinking of LMC?
No, maybe.
It's a fair point though, because like as long as they finish like 6th, he can just choose to start playing Test rugby as soon as they get into the weird knockout phases the URC has. So that really works in his favour.
That's probably another big thing for us that we don't really have to experience is like New Zealand has their own protocol, Australia's own protocol for test players where you know they can play only X amount of games before they have a rest week, but we don't have a crossover between the test season and Super Rugby itself. So I mean, we don't really know how that works with availabilities at the start of the season and protocols for resting. Is there specifics around that, or?
Yeah, it depends on the nation. Like some of them are different, but so you have like, so for instance, all the Lions players will be rested into the start of the season. Like Jack Morgan, I know,
British and Irish
Lions. Sorry, yes, yeah, no, none of them are going to turn up to play. It's going to be a walkover for the first few rounds. But yeah, like all the British and Irish Lions are being rested. So, like Jack Morgan just went back into training on Monday. He was given an extra 10 days off, but he came in early because he loves it. And also maybe just wanted to drag standards back up. You know?
He's carrying the nation.
But like
they can do without.
So I think Leinster's Lions are back in next week as well, which is half of their squad. So those players we rested a few weeks into the season. And in terms of, you say, like the crossover, it's one of those interesting things. It used to be a much bigger deal. Then since they moved to the URC format, they've got fewer games now. It's 18-game season rather than the 21, I think it was at one point, or 22. So that means there aren't games being played every international weekend as there was previously. Okay. So it means generally you've got a week before and a week after with the November games. And then, so Wales are playing an extra game, Scotland playing an extra game this year. No, sorry, Ireland are, Scotland aren't. This autumn, so they will also have a round where their players are missing for that game. Wales have always had this thing where their fourth international, they can only pick players from the Welsh regions. If they go down to two of them, they will only be able to pick from 4 players, but that's a bridge we'll cross down the road. And so then it becomes, there's kind of this block of these 2 potentially free games around the autumn internationals. And then the Six Nations becomes the tricky one because there's a game before, there's 2 break weeks, and there's a game after where your internationals won't be available. So there's always a block of sort of, even now that it's been reduced, it's still sort of 6 or 7 games where you're looking at potentially not having, you know, a key number of players from your squad. So you go back to like the World Cup season in 2015, right? And Connacht went on to win the league largely because they didn't miss any players, and everyone else had World Cup overlap and then Six Nations overlap. And for half the season, they were missing their squad. Connacht were missing nobody and won the league because they just had like a full strength team the entire time. So it's always one of these important things. It always leads to teams like Glasgow and Leinster and, you know, the South African clubs who have a great amount of depth, like doing well in those periods.
Yeah, ultimately, I guess it's a massive plus for the South African sides as well because they're yet to be added into the Six Nations. So,
the Georgian clubs as well.
Yeah, so I mean, it's obviously a big positive for them though because they're not going to lose players in that block, whereas obviously the other sides all will.
Imagine being one of the bottom Welsh teams and still losing your international players.
I'm assuming the Dragons have none, but I've got nothing to base that on other than their win.
You've got Aaron Wainwright. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Right.
Like in terms of serious players, like, there's always a few Dragons players who make like the fringe Welsh team.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh yeah, well you've been playing really well for the Dragons.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've got to like give you, you know, your dues a little bit.
Yeah. You can train with
a little bit. There's always this like weird angle in it as well, right? Of like, if the squad's named and there's not many of your players in, you've got the kind of like silver lining of like, oh, well, they're all going to be available in a week. Like, yes, they didn't pick Jack Morgan, but that means he can play against Glasgow in 3 weeks' time.
Tell you what, though, speaking of the Dragons, right? If you want one dark horse when we're looking at like fantasy rugby and so on, one player who like I'm like borderline slightly obsessed with like as a concept. So their co-captain, the fly half, Angus O'Brien.
Yes.
So he's this uncapped like Welsh dude. He's called Angus O'Brien. Like you think he's this guy that probably poached from the Leinster Academy, and he's spent half of his career with like this random bushy afro as a white dude, which is quite an interesting look for him. It's got,
you don't see many of those in Newport as well.
No, interesting character, but low key is like this massive baller, and it's like half the things. It's like, why are you doing this for the Dragons? But he is the joint top 50-22 kicker in Europe.
The top 3 50-22 kickers in the last like 2 seasons in Europe were Antoine Dupont, Thomas Ramos, and Angus O'Brien.
Yeah.
Were the top 3. Like, he's just like, for some reason, he's classic kick 50-22s. So if you're looking for someone that will save you fancy points, because he will not be rated highly, but is quietly really solid and loves a 50-22.
And the Dragons are still shit.
Yeah, but he'll get them into a good position they can then blow.
Yeah.
Out of interest as well, because we are about to get through the 25-26 fixtures or player lists in their positions, and inevitably they're always a bit crazy, and we're going to go through that with someone to make sure we try and remove these. He's listed through Opta as an outside back. Do you ever see him play anything else?
He plays fullback as well, yeah.
Yeah.
They've just lost... I've gone completely blank on him. Will Reed, their young fly half, who's gone to the kind of Worcester team that have been brought out the ashes and being reborn, and they've kind of gone...
So if
I was like,
he's genuinely ranked the 5th highest, so he's a proper player.
Wow.
He's He's sitting in on averages on 20th for outside backs, but that puts him above Makazole Mapimpe, Afalale Fasi, like other good players.
World Cup winners. Yeah.
I think that's fair.
He's not that sneaky,
Let's just lean into pissing off the Springbok fans who are listening.
Yeah.
I think he's better than those.
He'd start.
He's got to be better.
Any position in the back line.
Guys, that's our
Really?
So he can start the Springboks.
He only isn't getting the Welsh team because we've got so much depth.
Yeah.
So many good players.
And anti-Welsh bias.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to laugh that hard. I apologise. Oh god. To I guess on the same vein of that test window question though, do you generally see a lot of rotation for the test players? Like, Super Rugby, they normally miss 1 or 2 weeks. They're not allowed to play more than say 4 or 5 in a row, depending on the nation. Do you see that same kind of thing in the URC?
It depends on the team, depends on the nation. So Ireland have a set number of minutes their players are allowed to rest, the lads play. Wales had this and then it got removed and then it sort of is back because there's like an informal player by player agreement, I believe. So
but with the Irish they're centrally contracted, and so the players who are deemed, there's probably 50 odd players I think that the IRFU, it's less than that, that the IRFU say you're a core member of our national team, so we're going to manage your minutes constantly. And it's really funny because most of those play for Leinster, and there's a lot of infighting between Munster and Leinster fans, especially when Ireland play games. It's really funny when you look at social media and you see Munster fans going oh, Ireland have been really poor today, only, I don't know, Jack Crowley's played well for us today. And you see some Leinster fans then giving it back and going, oh, well, I can't believe we're still picking Craig Casey in this team. He's been terrible. They need to pick this guy instead. But with Leinster, it's a really interesting one because they have across such a huge squad. If you look at the squad that they'll have listed on their website or on Wikipedia or whatever, that is 1% of the players they'll actually pick.
Yeah,
because they just pluck out random academy kids.
70 odd players last season, so they've rotated really heavily. It's the thing about Leinster in particular. Their first 15 probably won't play much in the URC. Yeah. They focus very much on the Champions Cup, so they'll play every minute in the Champions Cup, and they'll play the derbies against Munster and Ulster. And maybe the odd other home game.
Every coach wants to do this squad rotation thing. Yeah. It's not realistic for most squads. Whereas for Leinster it is, because they've got so many academy kids who are just incredible. Yeah. And so they basically never play their first team. James Lowe is obviously one of the best players in this tournament. And he played 4 games of regular season URC last year. Yeah. He barely played. Just because he just turned up for the big games because they could afford to rest him. Yeah. So it's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's hard to understand. But you can get it if you've got that much depth. I mean, the closest team, not that we have anything like that in Super Rugby, is the Crusaders. They just pull a kid off park footy and throw him in, and he seems like a superstar.
Yeah.
They just seem to have that much depth.
Honestly, it feels like they 3D print these players every year. Yeah. They just come out of nowhere. James Lowe played 5 games of the URC last season, plus then the semis and final.
Yeah.
So, just
that is crazy.
Just that's the way they are. They'll pick these academy lads and their system, and they're they've got this really impressive. We did a video on it a year or so ago, but really impressive structure where they have the same game plan being handed down to this load of schools, and they're all feeding it up from there, and it kind of leaves the system where everyone can come in and instantly be excellent in it. But means that if you want to see Jamison Gibson Park get some minutes, they probably won't see that many over the URC. You have to tune into Europe to watch it.
Yeah,
or the semi-final bottle.
that just throws such a big spanner in the works for fantasy footy as well. All the players we know won't be playing, so that's
for Leinster certainly. And it depends on the team. the Welsh and Scottish teams are more likely, I think, to stick with their strongest teams. Like those, the Scottish teams have got more depth, where the Welsh teams are like, it's been a problem with the Ospreys like the last 3 seasons, is they've had a really good start to the year, or really good, like, they've been really in the fight towards the end, and then they've run out of steam towards the end because they're just picking the same 15 every week.
They pick the first 15 like 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, there's just like, there's very little depth.
The Ospreys have probably a squad of about 30 odd players, like realistically, who are like in that core team, and it is like, that's actually not that many. You know, when you got to pick 23 in a week, and then you're just picking and choosing which of those are playing on any given week.
Like 18 URC games plus, you know, at least 4.
It catches up with
and they've, you know, the last few years they've gone deeper in Europe.
That kind of theme across all the Welsh teams.
Yeah. Like Scarlets, I think, have like mixed and matched a little bit more than than the others. They've perhaps got a slightly deeper squad, but
they've got a few academy lads and under 20.
Compared to Leinster, compared to Munster, compared to even the South African teams, who again have like such incredible depth of talent, just because the sheer number of like good rugby players in South Africa is through the roof.
With the Scarlets thing as well, because if you look at the level below the URC, the kind of the
Super Rugby Cymru, which they just named shamelessly, and I'm amazed they haven't been sued for.
What do they call it?
Historically,
they renamed what was the Welsh Premiership Super Rugby Cymru like a year or so ago, and just like completely shamelessly. And I can't believe they haven't been sued for it.
It finally makes sense why all the Pommies keep saying their league is better than Super Rugby, though. It's all adding up.
Historically, with that, one of the teams that kind of produced the best players has been Llandovery, who was like one of the Scarlets, like feeder teams. Llandovery and Llanelli, like are two of the strongest teams in SRC, or the Welsh Prem as it's historically been. And so they've had like a lot of players that they can just pluck and just sit on the bench, and like they're not going to be like a great player who's going to play for Wales or anything, but they've kind of like bridged the gap a little bit. Whereas like you look at the Dragons, Cardiff and the Ospreys, they've had to pluck academy lads and so on.
The other thing with the Scarlets that happened over the last couple of years is they had this squad that was getting older and older and older, and it was the likes of, you know, Jonathan Davis, Ken Owens, like half the Welsh, Lee Halfpenny, like basically the Welsh team for a decade. Like a lot of you know, for a long time it was like the pack is all from the Ospreys, the backs are all from the Scarlets, and then you had the odd Cardiff player kind of floating around, and the Dragons sat and enjoyed everyone else's success. But a lot of those players suddenly like retired in one go, so they suddenly had this like enormous amount of money that was going to these handful of players. So instead they went and spent it like I think quite wisely. Like last year they brought in 8 non-Welsh qualified forwards and just like really spurs up their pack, because that had been a problem before that, was they were just like, you know, their backs were good but they were getting like outdone at the scrum every week. And they just went and like signed like the biggest load of South African bastards they could find, and it really worked for them. Like that was
Marnus van der Merwe was like the huge signing. I'll tell you what though, the big signing from a Welsh perspective for the URC this season, Ryan Smith.
Yeah. What?
He's a genuinely good player. He's just a workhorse. Like I think he will do very, very well for the side. But I don't think he's going to be the guy that you look at and go like, wow, he was unbelievable as a casual fan because he didn't make 3 line breaks. But he's very solid in the line out, hits his rucks, makes every tackle. He'll be a very, very good player for Ospreys.
And like as a replacement for Adam Beard, he seems like a kind of spot on, like someone who works incredibly hard but isn't necessarily, you know, catching the headlines.
He never got appreciated enough in Australia. I mean, including by Harry.
Yeah. Well, I'd still take Adam Beard, but he is a solid player for sure.
Yeah. I imagine he's on a fraction of the wage that Adam Beard's getting at Montpellier. So you take that.
Reds fans think very highly of him.
Yeah. Which is always the like. A bunch of times I've seen beloved players leave, and then you see the opposition fans being like, "Can we not sign anyone better?" And you're like, it pisses me off so much that like when I see Reds fans being like, I'm so sad to be losing Ryan Smith, that I just want to be like, this. I am the happiest in the world. Nothing could make me happier than signing Ryan Smith. It's the best day of my life.
That's the kind of player Adam Beard is as well. That like people who support the team he plays for really like him, because as soon as he's not there, the line out goes to shit. And like he doesn't do that much else around the park, but like he's really good at the line out. So when you support that team, you're like, oh, we really rely on him. But a lot of people outside will go, oh, well, he doesn't carry the ball. He doesn't do this around the park. And it's like, yes, but look what he does do, you know? So it's quite nice having a replacement like that, I suppose, from an Ospreys perspective.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately he left the Reds because the Reds just decided to buy 2 international quality locks. So he just went from like an outside chance to start for the Wallabies to not playing very much because
bringing in Canham and Lucan Alaalatoa, so that doesn't help much.
Yeah.
We were happy for them to come to the Waratahs, and they kept.
Yeah, it didn't work.
How selfish
it is.
Speaking of the Champions Cup, guys, we know very little about Champions Cup. How many teams are actually qualifying for the Champions Cup out of the URC, and what kind of impact does that have on them?
So it's the top 8 qualifies each year, unless one of them unless a team from lower down wins the Challenge Cup, the kind of second division thing, in which case they take the spot of who will be the 8th team, which is, cost the Ospreys last time we would have qualified, but that's fine. I'm not better at it still. So it's 8 teams get in, and then you then play, it's now a block of 2 games in December, block of 2 games in January. And then the format makes no sense anymore. But they needed to get 24 teams about, and they needed to try and work it out. And somehow they got a system that a random selection of 16 teams qualify from those 24, and they then go on into round 16, quarterfinal, semis, final. It's still the pool stage is not what it used to be, the Champions Cup. It used to be the absolute pinnacle. Everyone built up to it, and it was everyone threw the strongest team out for that. And then it sort of, I think, slipped a little bit for the fact it changed to being it was Leinster, and there were 2 French teams at a time, and then 1 English club. And you were kind of if you're not one of those 4 teams, you didn't really stand a chance. And then the pool stage kind of changed. It became round of 16 rather than last 8, and there was always a lot of prestige in getting into the last 8, and that was a big achievement for a lot of teams. They'd really target that as their big achievement for the season, similar to a World Cup and looking to get out of your group and so on. And then that all changed, and the whole thing has kind of slid away to the point in which now it's it's sort of, a lot of teams use it as a distraction, as a lot of teams will put out second teams in the Challenge Cup and focus on trying to get high up the league. And then it sort of kicks into gear once you get to quarter semis final, and it kind of goes up gears. And then by the time you get to the final, it is the best and highest intensity game of club rugby that we played in Europe every year. And it is always great value. But the pool stage now is a little bit all over the place, and it's hard to tell, even week to week, how seriously some teams are going to take it. And it might be that a team is intending to really challenge, then they lose their first 2 games because they're on a bad run of form in December, and in January they decide, well, we'll just put our kids for this one. So
yeah, right.
It's become a really weird equation in the middle of the season that I hope they do something to fix over the next couple of years, because it used to be the highlight of the season.
It truly sounds like the best fantasy player in the URC is the one that can work out when to play the internationals and when not to. That is
really
a crazy challenge.
So much more complex than Super Rugby.
I want to move on to inevitably the 8 players that'll be named the best 8 players in the league, and also Rico Ioane. And that is the Super Rugby players coming to the Northern Hemisphere for this competition.
Yeah.
We obviously also already mentioned Luke Bryant, Asiata Worchon for the Benetton. I thought Sam Gilbert was worth a shout coming across from the Highlanders up to Connacht. Super versatile player, primarily listed as a centre, but plays a lot of fullback, wing, fly half, literally 10 to 15. I feel like he's kind of like a Reece Hodge in terms of how he plays. So I think he'll be...
They poached Mac Hansen a couple of years ago, of course, on a similar basis.
Mac Hansen.
Of course, they took Mac Hansen on a similar basis that he could play anywhere in the back line, and look where he's gone from there.
They had a lad called Piers O'Connor, who was previously at Bristol there the last couple of years, who was similar, plays fullback, plays wing, plays and he's excellent. And he's now gone to Edinburgh. But it feels like they're very much filling that role. And if you're looking for someone that played every week, Piers O'Connor played every game. They played them all in different positions, but he just slotted in somewhere. So I think they're very much looking at Gilbert as the replacement for O'Connor. So I think there's a good chance he plays a lot of minutes this season.
Yeah, well, I think 2 seasons ago for Super Rugby, he killed it for me as a fantasy owner. So I took big minutes into him this year, talked him up, he's going to be the best centre, and he was terrible. So hopefully he's back to his finest form.
But now he's in a B grade comp, so he'll do pretty well as well. Another one that's an interesting one coming across for the Dragons is Finay Nisi. if you could get a couple of Anisis, that would be perfect. But Finney, he's definitely an exciting player, and he had some really big moments in Super Rugby. Plays a bit of centre, plays a bit of wing.
Yeah.
Real physical hard ball runner, but he's also quick. I think he's really quite deceptively quick and solid. And he's a really exciting player. And I mean, in a side that you guys have labelled the best team in Europe, the Dragons, I think he should help add them and take them to another level.
Yeah, I have no idea how the Dragons have signed him. Like I've got no idea how he's coming in. And
there's so much say this about every year.
Yeah, every couple of, like Co Tompkinson came over to the Dragons and was terrible. It was just like he had like 2 good games right at the start, and then clearly went like, wait, is this what I'm playing with? Is this like I'm playing in a shithole in like the middle of like a rundown town, in South Wales?
That's why I'm really like reluctant to say like, oh, Finn Anisi's going to be different.
Yeah,
like he's such a good runner of the ball.
This is like so
them using him as like a crash 12.
This is really one of these years, right? And this happens every 3 or 4 years in Welsh rugby, and you get used to it. Is the Dragons have a really good off season? They signed a bunch of players. They brought in this year Wyn Jones, the former Wales prop, like Dylan Lewis, Wales prop, like. Like Thomas Young, who
Mackenzie Martin,
like both like Seb Date, like a bunch of like established internationals. Tinas Tabia, who's great for Cardiff a couple of seasons ago, like fly off. Like again, he played basically every minute for Cardiff that season. I think like all but like it was something ridiculous, like all but 30 minutes in the season. And it's a great good goal kicker, really solid like 5 if you're looking for someone that's like a a less championed but solid 10.
Yeah.
And then, Finn Anisi being like the real standout name amongst them.
Yeah.
And yet, like every time they turn up, they'll have one game at the start of the season where they look all right, and then it'll just like drop off as the season goes on. And I'm worried we're looking at the same thing here. Sorry?
I feel like they signed him because he played for Moana, who are in the exact same position in Super Rugby.
Yeah.
He's a Tongan international looking for a home, which, sadly, those players do jump around a fair bit. He's just got this ability to make huge impacts in the game, lots of tackle bust, lots of tries, but then doesn't seem to be able to stay on the park week in, week out, which, it's going to be a bit more of a grind, I think, in the URC than what Super Rugby was. So hopefully he stays fit because he is definitely blockbuster when he's playing well.
Yeah, I just feel like we haven't consistently seen the best of him either. Like he's just done some freakish plays, whether it be defensively or ball in hand. And if he can just start putting, week after week together and feel like he's got to pull the team out of some dark moments, because he did it a couple of times for Moana. It could really click for him. Yeah.
I think you're bang on. Need to sign the other NEC. Sign his brother. Sign also NEC. Get him up there. Get the two of them punching holes.
So good.
He's a serious player.
He's good.
Agreed. Nelson held him injured for the entire Super Rugby season.
And then got like 5 minutes out of him, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Guys, 2 other short-term loan deals that I want to talk about. One was Rico, who I threw shade at before.
Yeah.
I'm relying on you guys as people that have analysed the All Blacks time and time again to tell me why he's not terrible at outside centre.
Well,
he's coming in for Geordie Barrett.
They've dropped it.
And Geordie Barrett's obviously been amazing for Leinster. Rico, he was the guy that I was really excited to see play outside, but I've never liked playing outside.
I think he's much better than he was.
It took me a long time to be convinced.
I think he's much better than he was like a few years ago.
Yeah.
Like defensively, he's really worked on that. He's really playing wing again this week as well. Like, and I thought he looked good again there with limited opportunity.
He's not fast anymore.
Yeah, I guess that's it. But the thing is, right? He's 28, and he was playing on the wing for the All Blacks. He would not still be playing for them if he was a winger. They would have discarded him when he hit 27. Like pure 27 club.
It's the old Leo DiCaprio rules, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're over 25, what have you?
Yeah.
That's the way the All Blacks do the wings.
But I mean,
so he's added like 30 caps on there.
Yeah.
For playing centre.
Now not in their side.
Yeah, he's gone.
So he's just
put a few kgs on.
And he did, and it was a handful more years where he was nowhere near as good. He was phenomenal at wing, and then just never seemed to really click.
And then fine. And then I think initially didn't really work as a centre, and now he's like a decent, in a centre of the caliber centre of the caliber that the All Blacks want, but not like a standout. Like he's solid within the context of playing for the All Blacks.
Talking about him as the replacement for Geordie Barrett, and anyone that thinks that, personally, I think is going to be so disappointed.
Oh yeah, he's just such a different player.
Yeah.
I also don't know if he fits because if you think about the centres, they already have Gary Ringrose and Robbie Henshaw, right? Who are both, regularly starting for Ireland.
Me too.
Yeah, like guys, and like Geordie Barrett is more adaptable, and you can put him in a fullback, you can put him at 12 or 13.
Even at 10.
Even at 10, yeah. Ioane, you're kind of going, you want him at 13, or you're putting him on the wing, but then why have you signed him to come and play on the wing when you've got so many other wingers available?
Yeah.
When you've got, these endless
Also,
academy.
they use their wingers as playmakers at length as well, and Rika Ioane is just...
So they've seemingly signed him as a centre, as a 13.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't make any sense to me.
The guy then that plays when the Leinster players aren't actually rolling out their top team by the sounds of
That's
it.
it.
He'll play every other game.
Yeah, he'll be turning out against the Scarlets away in
Imagine that,
November.
like an 83 Test All Black, and they're just like, yeah, but he's our backup.
Yeah.
We just play him.
But that's infamously,
with that insight, I actually think he'll go pretty well then.
They infamously put Geordie Barrett on the bench for the semi-final of the Champions Cup that they lost, which is hilarious when you look back at it.
Insane. Absolutely.
Spend all that money to give him 20 minutes off the bench. Crazy.
Yeah, that's a bad choice.
The last one is who I'm going to call right now as the number one fantasy pick in the entire competition is Angus Bell.
Yes.
Can we just point out, have you guys got any experience of fantasy footy?
They play the Six Nations,
international ones,
World Cup ones, religiously, but
these sort of ones, our platform, and you own a player, and no one else can take that player, right?
Oh, okay, right.
So if the way you pick a good team, it's not just about getting the top scorers. If they're all outside backs, it's not that you're getting the top scorer. You want the guy that is, the biggest gap between him and then the next person in his position. And we were scrolling through numbers and looking at, URC stats and fantasy points from last year. And my goodness, he will be, I reckon he has to be the most valuable player in the URC fantasy, because he is just, runs ball in hand, makes loads of tackles, beats tackles. And that's just, something that we couldn't find looking at, the props that were there. There's good caliber props, but it seems like they're a lot more, do the dirty work and not necessarily ball in hand like he does.
Such a good point. I think you look at some of the best props in the URC. I mean, you've got like Andrew Porter, you've got like Thomas Gaggio, but you're mainly looking at
Porter isn't playing that many minutes, is he? Knox isn't playing that many minutes.
That's it. You look at Oxenche as well. Like Oxenche's not like the kind of player that Bell is.
Ulster
he's a good scrummager.
Ulster not paying Angus Bell that much to sit on the bench. No. They're not paying him to rest him. He's gonna be flogged. He's still unbelievably only 24, still as well Angus Bell, which I can't get my head around. But because it feels like he's been around a long time.
He can rip this tournament open as well. Yeah. Also, the other signing that Ulster made is Juano Augustus, the number 8. He's come from Northampton, the South African lad. He is absolutely nails. And
ball carrier.
Yeah. Second, sorry.
Who did Augustus?
So South African who came from Northampton. And he was unbelievable at Northampton. Yeah. Just ripped open defenses constantly, really strong tackler as well, melts people. So him and Angus Bell in the same pack together is honestly so exciting. If you're an Ulster fan, you're just thinking I just want us to have the ball constantly. Yeah. Because giving these guys opportunities to carry will be next level.
That is awesome actually. The amount of chat there was over the last few years about Augustus actually being the number 8 for South Africa. And now you've picked both of those guys that can play so many games. That is 2 gigantic ins for that side. So there you go. They might be the big mover, truly.
Yeah. No, it's always the Ulster over the last few years has developed a bit of a reputation for just sort of falling off late on, I think. And of being there or thereabouts, and then always just coming undone and being
I don't think I've ever known not competitive.
Yeah. But it's just can they deliver at the last minute? And a lot of that will be having players like them you can lean on. And they haven't the players they've generally lost are all older heads, right? It's the Kieran Treadwells, Alan O'Connor's, guys have been churning out for them, playing a lot of minutes every season and now in the mid-30s. Yeah. They haven't really lost any proper first teamers. So having actually some depth to come in for the likes of Bell as well is probably very useful.
Adam Morgan play much for them? Because I really rated him.
Yeah, he's solid. Yeah. Played, here and there. And Werner Koch came in last season as well. He's obviously, a lot of fun.
He's been so good for them as well. He's a pick.
Yeah, right.
You guys touched on like someone that you thought was a sneaky pick in O'Brien. We were talking to you guys a little bit earlier that we do a podcast normally, the Hot Shit podcast, and we know every single player coming into Super Rugby, their mum's middle name, the weight, all that sort of stuff, right? We don't have that depth in this competition, but we love, the sneaky little hot shit picks. Is there anyone that you guys can think of that, they're going to be a household name by the end of the year? It's going to be a breakout year for them. And we personally like it to be, a fantasy player, someone who's going to be doing the visual stuff that you'll see.
Yeah. So one name that I kind of plucked out earlier was... There's a few from Munster that I think, because Munster have a really good squad for this, because there's a couple of core players who are the Irish internationals, like Craig Casey, Jack Crowley, Tait, and so on. And unlike Leinster, they give these guys quite a lot of minutes, which is quite helpful. Jack Crowley's really consistent for Munster, so he's a player that, I'd definitely consider if in terms of big names. But they also have quite a lot of good young players coming through. There's their young hooker, I apologise if I mispronounced this name, but Diarmuid Barron is really strong. I've really enjoyed watching him. And also Diarmuid Kilgallen on the wing, who's come through at the tail end of last season and scored a hat load of tries for them, at the very end of the season. So I think he's somebody that, maybe not necessarily household name, but I could see him playing... certainly against all of the weaker teams, they'll give him a go and he will score tries. I think he's just a bit of an opportunist. They also have Calvin Nash on the wing, who plays for Ireland. Very useful, absolutely outstanding, and always plays well when he needs to. He's quite a consistent player.
You've got, again, the thing is, right, you can just look at Leinster and pull any of their youngsters and just go randomly, they're brilliant, they're excellent, There's a few like Gus McCarthy was a nobody, made his debut last year, went on to play for Ireland last year. There's a few of those guys who you kind of right, either you put in last year's guy, like a Gus McCarthy, and you go, okay, fine, their profile's gone up enormously in a year. Or do you just randomly pull, and if you look at their squad here, right, Stephen Smith, the hooker, or Charlie Tech, I know he's played a
Vincent Gunn.
Finton Gunn scored in the final. Young scrum half, actually. No, he looks useful. He looks useful. Young scrum half, was playing for Ireland under 20s last year, I think. And then came on off the bench and scored in the final when there was someone got ill and he ended up having to come in. There's one name in Wales that comes up time and time again for this kind of conversation, which is Morgan Morse, the number 8, the Ospreys, who is lightning quick, incredibly hard worker as well, good at the breakdown, wins a decent number of turnovers as well. Has had a bit of a habit of fading out of games a little bit, but it's starting to put that right.
He'll get that with age.
And I think he's been sitting on the bench generally for Morgan Morris because we only have 3 names, and so they've got Morgan Morse, Jack Morgan, all in the same back row. But this might be the season he kind of steps up and takes it to the next level as well.
I quite like Tom Bowen from Cardiff, plays wing and fullback.
Yeah.
He's 19, 20 years old. He is lightning quick. Been really good at under 20s level, and he'll score.
Just doesn't accept tackles. He's quite small, but just kind of burst through tackles an awful lot.
That's what you want in fantasy. No, you're not tackling.
Yeah.
That disdain for anyone trying to put him down. It's the best. Even better, is there anyone that does the Sevu Reese? I'm just going to run sideways and palm 8 guys so I can get 8 tackle busts. Is there anyone?
He definitely bets on himself tackle bust.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you want that, maybe Kyle Stain is a good guy to pick.
Yeah.
Who can I feel he'll get you loads of kicking meters and loads of tackle busts, even if he doesn't score tries. So he's quite consistent.
The classic is Hamish Watson, Edinburgh,
that's true.
Who one year, I forget what the exact stat was, but he beat more defenders than anyone else in the Six Nations, but he only made something 80 meters from.
He's my guy. He's definitely my guy.
He was just standing still and just palming people off.
On the other side, 10 meters gets you 1 point. Is a tackle bust?
Okay.
3.
So you don't have to run. Just start palming blokes, and you're doing pretty good.
And what's more is I think we're the first fantasy game ever to reward points for kicks as well. Yeah. So if he's got some good commanders as well, he's high in my book.
I like that.
That's new for us as well. That's this
one player that's very highly rated, speaking of Edinburgh and Scotland, is they've got a young flanker called Freddie Douglas.
Yeah.
There in the 20s. So he got his first Scotland cap. It was against Fiji last year in the autumn. And it was before he'd played for Edinburgh. He got his first cap just because he's so highly rated. So I feel like he's a guy, and he's like more defensive, like breakdown type dude, but he's going to be a really great player by the end of this season, I think.
Yeah. Can I ask on this is a slight tangent, it isn't quite answering the question. Have you, as Aussie fans, followed Jack Walsh at all? Is he a name that means anything to you?
Not me.
No. So he Australian, and has been the Ospreys, and he was possibly player of the year. If I was choosing a player of the year, would have been our player of the year last year. Plays 10 or fullback. Yeah. And it's kind of nailed down the fullback jersey, and he's just outstanding. And if you're looking at someone who's flying under the radar, in terms of tries and in terms of assists in particular, was just unbelievable from fullback. Was just the way in which he can carve up the game, but also slot into an extra distributor, slot into 10. Would often finish the game at 10. You kind of Dan Edwards, the young fly half who, gloriously won Wales a heroic test on the last try of last go round. But the two of them have formed a really good partnership as two playmakers off each other. And I think he's just I've heard no one talk about him as a potential Wallaby, and yet he's been outstanding for a club that no one's watching.
I read something about him recently saying that it literally was at the Aussie doing good abroad or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like I think of myself as the Scottish and Irish selectors. I look across the world for anyone that's got an Australian heritage. At any given time, I got 4 or 5 documents on my phone of people that could play for Australia, and names come up. So we've heard of them, we just haven't really seen them play.
And I love a fly half that can play fullback because there's so many more points as an outside back too. Yeah, so he's a fantastic one.
And Australia needs a fly half to be locked in.
That's true.
So bring him home. And Pellegrini, we let him slip. And now,
yeah, Coventry's finest.
Yeah,
I genuinely would be throwing him in at the Wallabies, giving him a crack. He is phenomenal.
Yeah,
the sparkling
he's
water
good
himself.
Yeah,
and one of those players that just he seems to keep getting better, and I keep going okay, he's this good now, fine, and then you're no, he's even better than that. He's probably someone he doesn't seem to have a ceiling. He just keeps bursting through it all the time.
I mean, I started calling him Mackenzie Pellegrini last year because he was just so freaking good. Damien McKenzie 2.0.
I never heard you say that.
Yes, you did, mate. Damien McKenzie. Don't give me this. I'm editing you out.
I'm so in women's rugby mode. I was after Mackenzie Hawkins, the USA fly half.
Yes, that's what I meant. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, my brain's so bursted right open. Another young player actually to mention. You remember Keith Wood, the former Island hooker?
Yes, absolutely.
So he's got a son who is 20 years old, is coming through the Munster Academy, just spent his first pre-season. His son's a fly half, which I think is honestly quite disgusting.
He would be offended, for sure.
Yeah. Classic front row forward, had a son who's a 10. And look, it's just in his first full pre-season with them, so he may make his debut. You're probably not a wise person to put in your squad.
10 with hair as well.
Yeah.
It's even worse.
Honestly, it's it's slightly insulting, but just in case we look back on this in the season, he goes on to steal Jack Crowley's jersey, then we got him in.
In his first season in the academy. It's going to be Gordon. Is it Gordon Wood?
Tom Wood. Tom was the son. Yeah, Keith Wood was the dad.
One more player that I will regret not bringing up. And do you give out fantasy points for having a great name?
Yeah, we talk about it lots.
Okay. Well, in that case, there is a winger for Zebre by the name of Albert Einstein Batista.
Oh, that's a great name.
Yeah.
I would be picking him solely based on that.
That is
he's going to be a smart footy player, and he's going to know how to wrestle too, Batista, so he's all over it. It's the
perfect blend. Beast beauty brains.
There are not enough combinations of scientists and wrestlers coming out as a rugby player.
No.
Couldn't agree more.
He could be the only
There's no Oppenheimer the Rock, is there?
There's a ring to it though. Does have a ring to it.
I'm just furiously searching our data here to see what I can find out about Einstein. And
we don't have him.
The short answer is nothing, because he obviously wasn't around last season, was he?
We would have noticed him by now.
Yeah. No, he's listed there in the squad this season. He's very exciting.
They've signed him. Who knows if he's any good? I don't care.
He'll be good, mate. He'll be good. You can't be bad with a name like that.
It's like all the Harry Potter jokes.
He hasn't got a Wikipedia yet, but by the end of this season, this thing's going to be going off.
It's like as soon as Harry Potter bursts onto the scene, when every commentator's going like, "Oh, that's magic by Harry Potter," it's like now they have a literal Albert Einstein to play on the wing.
Genius by
You've got to put them together. You've got to put them together.
I do love that Harry Potter hates that. Like, it just makes it even better.
There was a great piece. That's it. Why isn't he?
I don't think
there was a piece.
He's actually
It's unfortunate.
Our Harry correspondent tells us.
Around the Lions.
He knows.
Oh yeah. Every Harrison knows every Harry.
You can tell when they're a Harrison. You definitely can tell when they're a Harrison. Just something missing.
Okay.
I was going to say, trying to stay on track.
No, please.
I love the names. If you've got any more names like that, throw them out.
No, please. Let's...
So we were saying, like, on our fantasy, right? You get to own a player and no one else gets to own them. You can trade them, and that's how it works. So you get heavily invested in the players, and you also want to watch every game, so you know everyone that's coming through, because you want to pick them before anyone else does.
You're in a league with your mates, right? Like, there's only, say, 8 of you, say the 4 in this podcast, and then 4 more in a league, and then you're going head-to-head with one person at a time.
Yeah, you play matchups.
Okay.
So, say it's me versus Harry, you guys play each other. You name your starting 15, you have a bench, and then if one of your starting 15 get pulled pre-game, your bench player subs in for them.
Okay. Nice.
And so, like, the big ways to score points are tackle busts, front rowers that, do lots of running, tackles, all that sort of stuff. Pilfers are massive, obviously scoring lots of tries, offloads, a lot of the fancy stuff, but we've worked really hard to try and bring, the tight 5 and make them valuable. So it's not just the outside backs you want. And in this system, they're valuable because you're not just picking, the top scorers, you're picking the people that are the best in their position versus the other people in their position. With that, like, this is throwing you in the deep end, boys, in 2 ways. Actually, I've got 2 ways to throw you in the deep end. One, will you be willing to do a competition, a draft comp with us? It can be you 2 and us 2. Give me a couple more.
I've been thinking, this sounds like great fun.
It's a lot of fun.
I'm terrified by how badly you're going to beat us around these international windows.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm confident.
I've got a terrible habit on, like, fancy rugby always of picking obscure players who I think will do better than you expect.
Excellent.
And they do better than you expect, but not as well as the obvious name.
Well, we'll pick Cargie. We'll bring him in as well, because Cargie owns specific islanders. So he's not going to have many players.
He won't be able to field a team.
So he'll be in real trouble. And maybe if you guys have everyone else you want to pull in, we'll pull a few more in, and we'll have a real crack at it. But on the back of that, we're going to have to get you, if you can think of it now, we can give you some time to give us your 3 top picks, the best players. You're not picking your team now, but guys that you reckon will be the top of the top. And we can give you some ideas from last year, just to let you know, and give you a bit of a vibe. But Tom Farrell had the top points in total points of the whole comp.
Consistent.
Yeah. Gavin Coombs, second place.
Gavin Coombs was the first name that came to mind for me.
Yeah. He had better points per minute. He played 16 games, but he had far better points per match. So he was huge. Surprisingly, how did Harry's worked some magic to get some props in here.
I did. I worked hard. P.S. Gooman, right up the top. He's third out of players that have played at least 5 games, I think. So he was massive, but I think he's well ahead of the other props, to be honest, as well. And Jack Dempsey's up the top. Dan Sheehan's up the top. Geordie Barrett, Hugo Keenan, Jacob Stockdale, Sione Tupoleto. So that's enough information, surely.
Okay. Well, Gavin Coombs was the first name that came to mind for me. It was like, he has been consistently there week in, week out. Munster fans are always furious about it that he never plays for Ireland. I think he's got 2, maybe 3 caps. But he is outstanding, scores a lot of tries as well. Like, to say he's a proper hard grafting primarily number 8, but also plays second row, plays flank. So he can fit in a team anywhere as well, which is really useful, I think. So he'd be my kind of first line pick.
My first one that comes to mind is exactly what you were saying earlier about Angus Bell, but I'll leapfrog over that because that's that you've already explained that as well as I possibly could. The next one, if Tom Farrell's coming out really consistently, one player I think is really consistent and will, from all of the kind of like things that score points that you've just mentioned, I feel like Kian Prendergast to be really good.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because he's good at like everything, and he's kind of captain now.
Yeah.
So he will play like pretty much every minute because they really, and he's like on the borderline of the Irish squad. So it's not like Andy Farrell will be saying no, he can't play. He only has to play so many minutes.
Yeah.
I feel like he's a really good player. So it's not the most flashy pick, but I feel like he's good at everything that a batter needs to do. Like.
And it does sound like in the URC fantasy, like you normally in Super Rugby, because it's a sprint, you want the guys with the highest averages. The guys that can get big minutes and just consistent points are going to be gigantic in this competition.
Yeah.
So I like that. Very good.
I feel like Cormac Chukwu as well at Ulster, because he's like a flashy second row. He also plays flank as well, but like he makes tackle busts and offloads.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what makes, and he hits a lot of breakdowns as well.
Cameron Hannacum, likewise, who's been outstanding.
Yeah.
And is someone with just like very high stats across the board. And I think this season might be the year kind of, now he's got a Springbok cap under his belt as well. Like, might be the year he really kicks on.
Young Welsh prodigy, coached by Rusty Erasmus.
Honestly, help us out, guys, because we're going to have to say his name a lot. Tell us pronounce Cormac's last name for us one more time.
Chukwu.
That's not hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
He was the top-rated lock on averages last year for the record. So
okay,
if he gets some minutes. That's a fantastic pick. I love it.
I feel vindicated.
And it's like genuinely perfect. Like he's 53 points on average. The next best is Teddy Williams on 54.
Teddy Williams is a good player as well.
45.
Sorry. 45. So he's eight points above him, which is significant. But he played, I think, far less minutes. So
he only played 9 games. That's his problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Teddy Williams is an interesting shout as well. That was like, he's very outspoken that like Leone Nakarawa is his hero and he wants to be like a white Leone Nakarawa. But this year has kind of finally added like jumping in lineouts to his game as a second row.
Bulked up a bit.
So yeah, like, it's finally started to as well. Yeah. So like, he's an interesting one as well. Like I like that as a shout.
Is he likely to miss international windows?
Maybe. He kind of won. I think he'd won a cap before this, but like kind of got in for the first time over the Six Nations, but was released back for the game in the middle.
Right.
So
Wales because they're also split.
Yeah.
Never know who's
But
going to play.
there's a chance he kicks on this year, but he's currently on the fringe of the Welsh squad, so we'll see. I'd throw James Fender as well.
He's good.
Who missed a lot last season, injured, then picked up a suspension in his first game back. But in terms of like his work rate, like
about points for
physical,
suspensions.
yeah.
We have negative points for suspensions, unfortunately.
You're an open side, Nelson. What are you doing?
I mean, we can still change it. The competition hasn't started.
Yeah, we normally let them slide for open side flankers, but the rest of them they get punished.
Valid. I like it. But yeah, no, James, like young Welsh second row who would have been in the Welsh squad but picked up an injury, and just like as someone to keep an eye on then as well. Just like a big lad, very physical, has 2 younger brothers who are both second rows as well. So potentially that might be the whole Welsh team is just like a load of defenders and Jack Morgan.
Nice.
Perfect. That sounds great.
So we got for Squidge, Gavin Coombs, Teddy Williams, and James Fender.
I don't know if I'm going to stick with you.
You're going locks. I just said you're going hard.
Dempsey's a better shout, but you mentioned him. So Jack Dempsey's like impacts per minute are insane.
Okay.
I'll go with Jack Dempsey. I'll go with Jack Dempsey as my other guy. Yeah.
So dumping Fender.
I'm dumping Fender. Yeah. I like that. Yes, I think so. I think so. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, there was like a whole. I won't get into the whole thing. There was I'm going to stop here on my James Fender chat. But his mum is very good on Reddit, and is always posting like photos of him being like, "My son played today, and look how well he went."
It's
great. It's great.
You should get points for that. And else you do, Wills.
It's the mum bonus. Did you skip Angus Bell or did you include him? Because
I'm including Angus Bell if I allowed him.
Good.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then Sian Prendergast?
Kian. Kian Prendergast, yeah.
Kian Prendergast, Cormac, is the Chuku.
Yeah, I'll take those
Nicely
three.
done.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just going to throw it out there because he's the top point scorer of the competition. Any reason that for no Tom Farrell? Is there something that we don't know about him?
No, I just think it just surprised me that he'd be there.
Second season syndrome. That's what I'm sure. No, yeah, I think he's a very good player, but yeah, that was quite a surprise pick. So I just don't think he'll do it 2 seasons in a row. I don't know. I can't explain it.
Just a big surprise. I think there, because I don't know if they've got Dan Kelly coming in from Leicester as well in the midfield, Munster.
Yeah.
So like he may play fewer minutes. It's like him, Alex Nankiville, and then Farrell, like those three being kind of their three key centres, with Crowley occasionally playing midfield as well. So
the big
I don't know. Yeah.
He
probably sounds like a good shout.
Was his minutes, because he's also got the top averages, but Geordie Barrett came in second on averages, just shy of him, but seemingly played a lot less minutes.
We played half the minutes, half the games.
Yeah.
Which he only signed. He actually moved in like February, didn't he?
Yeah. Why would you rest him? Is my question. And then there was other people up there. The Giant. There was Sione Tuipulotu, but again, far less minutes. Bundyaki, far less minutes.
Yeah.
You know, Guilo, Bertuccini.
Yeah.
That's we're gonna battle.
Julio? Yeah, we know.
We tried so hard for the Super Rugby ones. We're gonna learn.
You're all good.
Bertuccini, he's up there, but again, not many minutes for Zebre.
For a guy who probably is. Look, if you want just the tackle bust stat and that alone is your focus, Kieran Williams.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna bring him
the greatest player in the world. Kieran Williams is like my size. He is the size of, like, he's built like a scrum half. But someone just went to him one day, clearly went like, "You are the biggest man in the world, believe it." And he will consistently run at people like 4 times his size and bounce them off.
Very good.
And it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm an enormous fan of him. At 12, like, as someone that purely all you will get from him is tackle busts.
Amazing.
Like, there'll be no passes, very few breaks, but he will break out tackles and he will make game line meters. If you want to min-max one stat, keep your guy.
You want that, right? Like, you want to look at the play and go, just hog it. Just don't pass it.
Yeah.
Hog it. The tackle bust to pass ratio is like the key ratio, I think. If we should have that as like
should make an
prime stat that you have to pay for.
It's like the crazy hot scale, right? Crazy hot scale, but it's the pass ratio. The lower the passes, the more the tackle bust.
Oh, offloads are okay though. That's fine.
They're fine. They're fine.
There's nothing better than going 3 points, 3 points, 3 points, 3 points. Same for Carl Stain. You know, like those two guys are probably my top 2 picks right now.
Yeah. Undoubtedly, right at the top.
I think we've got on this that you boys, you're locked in. We'll do a little.
Let's do it.
Perfect. That's good. And are we going to have a prize or like a punishment? We do a punishment for the loser, right?
No, it's just okay.
What's it been? What's the punishment been?
So
well.
This is podcast friendly. No, we've done a couple, right? We've done twice. We've had the loser have to do a sexy calendar. It's quite hard to do on the other side of the world, but we had a professional photographer and we did a whole day of shoots. And every month, people would choose the different outfits for the month. And then I brought my brother-in-law along to play last season, and his punishment was you basically had to score a perfect game in bowling, and if you didn't, you're allowed up to 5 beers in between your next round, and every beer is worth 15 points. So we had to get then the next score, and then you could have 5 more beers in the next score. So the drunker you're getting, the lower the score. So it's getting, it's still very, very hard, and you got to judge how quick you have in your beer.
That's much more my speed than a sexy calendar.
Yeah. Well, it's normally agreed on, like I don't know that I'm in sexy calendar shape either. Normally the guys that are going pretty terribly start hitting the gym and like cutting their diet. And they think, things are looking pretty grim. But I think the thing that was amazing about that bowling game, which was a lot of fun, was he ended up getting through with like a score of about 108. So he's obviously had 15 beers,
at least
14 beers. But his score didn't get any worse. We thought he was going to get a lot worse at bowling. He looked a lot worse, but he still scored the same numbers.
That's fascinating.
The funniest thing,
it's an experiment that should be reproduced, I think, personally.
Truly.
I've known him for, 13, 14 years or something, right? Like, I don't know, something like that. And he's never gone bowling. And then all of a sudden, like mid-season, he's like, do you want to go bowling? He just wanted to start getting the practice in. And then I'd called him a couple of times, like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm just bowling. Who are you with? Oh, it's just me. So took it very seriously. It's good.
We've got a bowling alley like right by the office.
Oh, we do.
I haven't been since I was like 9 to that bowling alley, but it's an option.
It's an option.
We've got it right there.
Live stream it, between you and us. Not necessarily.
Yeah, that's no one needs to say that.
No. Right, we'll work on the punishment. But we
okay.
Yeah, and we have our own trophy with everyone's name engraved in it. And then we have
nice.
a championship ring and stuff like that as well that people get every year. But that's, full buy-ins and very big commitments. So we'll work.
It doesn't need to be that full on. It's okay. We're not tying them down to that. All right. I think that is a long enough podcast. We said 6 hours, so we've come under time for the first time ever, which is fantastic, boys.
Incredible.
So thank you so much for your time. It was
What a
awesome
day.
having you.
Thank you for having us.
Before we
Thank
do
you,
completely close off, you guys have obviously been very, very hard at work reviewing every single game known to women in the Women's World Cup. Can you tell us a little bit more about where you're at with that and obviously what's to come with the final starting as well?
Yeah, so we've been going over every single game on More Squidge Rugby, our second channel, and then doing other stuff on just Squidge Rugby, the main channel, which has not been overwhelming at all. It's been perfectly fine, actually. There's reviews of every game going up.
Yeah.
Some of them we've rolled into roundups.
Of which only 3 of them Wales lost.
Yeah.
Which is all of Wales games, but still.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's
every game.
always good fun. So they're just going up pretty regularly. We were trying to keep to like 1 a day throughout, but then sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes they're just going up when they go up, pretty much. And we'll just keep putting them out for going into the finals. More of them will be on the main channel on just Squidge Rugby, not More Squidge Rugby. And we'll keep pushing along and trying to cover the Rugby Championship if we can as well, if there's time and footage usage and if Sans are whatever. So rugby, does that about sum it up?
Yeah, so for now, the main place to look is More Squidge Rugby on YouTube. That's where most of it's going. And then moving forward, Squidge Rugby.
Yeah.
Rugby.
Some people seemingly got confused that there were 2 YouTube channels.
Yeah.
On social media. So it's good to just have that clarified for sure.
And I'd recommend anyone that wanted to kind of get a feel for what it's like and particularly the content for the Women's World Cup. I think you guys put out a fantastic video about talking about the differences in the men's and the women's game. And particularly, what was awesome to see was that change in risk reward that the women's game is playing compared to the men's, where they've got so much more ambition to play from their own half. They're not taking shots at goal. It's awesome. It got me pumped for the Women's World Cup, to be honest. So I think that's a great place to start if people are looking to try it out and see what's there. But yeah, awesome content, boys, and obviously big fans.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's something we wanted to do for a really long time, like from the last World Cup. So finally got round to getting to it and kind of putting it together. And yeah, happy for that. So thank you for watching.
That feeling is reciprocated with you.
Likewise, very much so.
Of course.
It's always good fun.
Love it.
It's always good fun. I have one last question. So how much are the Wallaroos gonna, spank Canada by?
Between
negatives
18 and negative 42 points.
Okay, so not worse than negative 42.
I'll tell you, that's not bad.
They lost negative 42 was the amount Wales beat Canada by. So
that's true. Yeah, and Australia are better than Wales.
Yes,
despite one result 2 months ago.
It'll be
I don't know if you know. I'm sure you probably do. The stat that the Wallaroos have been beating England in one single match for the longest period of time since England's 30 match run or whatever started. So we're pretty good.
Oh, wow, okay. No, I didn't know that. Okay, wow.
That's a genuine stat because it was like 20 minutes or something like that we were winning the match on the weekend. So
that's insane.
We're pretty...
And then the TV broke.
Cut it there at 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We're good.
Stop the count.
Yeah.
Guys, my only other question is, are they bringing in TMOs that have ever done the job before in the Women's World Cup finals? Because... Jesus Christ, how long it takes to disallow a try. The amount of times it's like waiting for kickoff and it's like, oh, hold on. We're going to go back for that 7-pointer that you've already kicked the conversion and just Jeebus.
Yeah, well, they've got Tempo in for every game. Like Ian Tempest just has every game now, I think, as the TMO.
It's a game of rugby.
So,
TMO.
Yeah.
It's definitely a complex thing, the TMO, always evolving. But, boys, thanks again. Love to have you on board. We had no idea what we were talking about, so thank you for keeping us on track a bit, I guess.
No, look, thank you for giving us a track to sit on and try and stay balanced.
All right, cheers, fellas.
No, thank you for having us.
Cheers, boys.
Really enjoy it.